Okay, the source of our learning should be a panacea. Let's begin Kufhei, 3 lines from the top. Kufhei 105a. Rav Chananya bar Shalmei v'Talmidei d'Rav havayasvi b'Sudasa. Okay, we have the students of Rav and Rav Chananya bar Shalmei. They're sitting and they're eating a meal. And we had before some students of Rav. Before we had Rav Bruna, and Rav Hanan al Talmidei d'Rav. They're sitting in a meal. Maybe there was a different girsa. Chaim was mentioning to me that it was before we had another Rav Hamnuna Saba. Anyway, Rav Hamnuna Saba. Rav Hamnuna Saba was standing and serving them. The only comment I could make, Chaim, is that I looked up and let's say the Adaris. Over there it says that Rav Hamnuna Saba is a Gilgal of Moshe Rabbeinu. And Koya Layu is like what does it say by the meal with Yisrael that he was serving? That's just my comment. Okay. Rav Hamnuna Saba is serving them. Amrulay Zil Chazi Mekadesh Yoma. Go check if the time came for Kiddush. So apparently it's Friday afternoon. And the time for Kiddush would either be, depending on the Shittas, Shkia or Tzeis or whatever, that's the time for Kiddush. So, then if that's the case, then we'll stop the meal. And we'll restart the meals in honor of Shabbos, which that means Akira Shulchan. They would take away the table. And now that we have big tables, you would just cover it. But officially, they're supposed to remove the table. Amar lahu, he says it's not necessary. Shabbat kavanafshar. Shabbos establishes itself. You don't have to remove the table and then bring it back in honor of Shabbos. When you're eating, the meal becomes Shabbos. It becomes Shabbos on its own. Why is that? Why is that? Because the Amarav, Kshem Shabbos Kavas L'Maisa, Kach Shabbos Kavas L'Kiddush. Shad is like this. That if it becomes usher to eat when Shabbos comes in, and then you make Kiddush, and then you continue eating, so that prohibition and that restarting the meal makes it into a Shabbos meal. So he says it's not necessary. When Shabbos comes in, it becomes usher to eat until you make Kiddush. So therefore, make Kiddush, which is like the Paris Mapel Makadosh. You just cover the challah and you make Kiddush, and then you continue. You don't have to bench and do all of that, or nothing is. You don't have to do anything. Just make Kiddush and continue. Now he says the Amarab Shem Shabbos Kavas L'Maisa Shabbos Kavas L'Kiddush works like this. Let's say someone, you see, the way it works with Meiser is that you can't eat produce, grain, until the Meiser is taken. However, that's only if the full production of the grain is completed. But let's say it's before it was completed. Let's say from the fields or something, or you took just a little bit, you didn't take it through the doorway. Ways of exempting or whatever from Meiser, then you're allowed to eat temporary. You're allowed to eat, it's arai, temporary. However, on Shabbos, there's no such thing as achilas arai. Everything Shabbos is permanent, is more official. So therefore, if someone was eating Erev Shabbos arai, temporary sort of snacking on toasted grains or something, and then Shabbos comes in, it becomes usher right away to eat. It didn't in Meiser. Shabbos switches it from being temporary to being a official meal. So just like Shabbos establishes for Meiser, it also establishes for Kiddush, which means that it becomes usher to eat until you make Kiddush, and therefore the meal following that becomes a Shabbos meal. Savar Minei, they understood from this Ki hechi de kavala kiddush kach kavala avdala. They understood that if it's Shabbos afternoon, eating shalashudas and shul, it becomes usher to eat once it becomes the time to make Havdalah, once Shabbos is over. There goes all of those tishin, those long shalashudas, extend well into the night. This would be the end of it. Amalu Rav Amram Hachem Rav. Rav Amram tells them, no, that's not the pshat. Rav said the following: L'kiddush kevas v'leil Havdalah kevas. It only establishes for kiddush. In other words, it becomes usher to eat when Shabbos enters until you make kiddush, but it doesn't become usher to eat until you make Havdalah. You can continue eating your meal well into the night without making Havdalah, and you make Havdalah afterwards. In other Abba, that's considered covered Shabbos not to finish your meal. Not to stop your meal, to allow the meal to finish. That's considered the covered Shabbos. The Gemara explains though, that only means to stop the meal, that you don't stop. But you don't start a meal right before Havdalah by this man. It's already this man for Havdalah. You can't start a meal until you make Havdalah. So if you started, you washed before, you can continue afterwards. And even this, when it says that you don't have to stop, that's only if you're actually eating. But when it comes to if you're just drinking, then you have to stop. You have to stop drinking. This is where the concept of that if you washed, you can keep eating. If you didn't wash, then you're not allowed to eat. That would come from this. However, it's very possible that it is possible that the pshat is, I think some Rishonim say that you're only allowed to keep eating afterwards, but you're not allowed to do any drinking. What would the pshat in that be? Well, let's read one more line and then it could be understood. When did we say that there's a problem about drinking? That's only with wine, chamra, wine, and shechrin, and beer. Now, if you learn that it means you're not allowed to start drinking, it's unclear what it means. Doesn't mean you're not allowed to start drinking, or does it mean that even in the middle of the meal, you have to stop your drinking? But let's throw in this factor that Havdalah could be made on wine or beer, or Chamar Medina, let's say. So then, you're not allowed to drink those items that are supposed to be used for Havdalah without making Havdalah. So that's what the pshat would be if it's in the middle of the meal. If the pshat would be if you're not in the middle of a meal, then it's just telling you that you can't have anything that's kosher. And then it goes on, but there's no problem with water. Yeah. It's a little bit odd the way we learned. He said that you're not allowed to start drinking. Before we were talking about when it comes to drinking, you have to stop. And even drinking, I would have liked the Gemara to continue. Naturally, I would have said the natural reading would have been that, and even drinking, you only have to stop for wine and beer. But not for water. For water, you don't have to stop. That's not what we're saying. We're saying for even this that we said that for drinking there's an issue. That issue is only for wine and beer, that you're not allowed to start drinking them. But water, you're allowed to have a drink of water before Havdalah. This argues with Rav Huna. Rav Huna sees this fellow, he's drinking water before Havdalah. You're not afraid of this terrible disease, askara, like a choking disease. I think the Mefarshim explained that. Why is he drinking? He says, "I need a drink. My throat's dry." So he can't wait for after Havdalah. So he gets this disease, which is like a choking disease. Where did I see that? Tosfos made. Yeah, Mida Keneged Mida. Tosfos says, the last Tosfos on the page. So here we're saying you're not allowed to drink water before Havdalah, according to Rav Huna, and before we said you are allowed to drink water. The Tana Mishmei Rabbi Akiva Kalatoyim Klum Kodim Sheyavdul Misasi Ba'askra. Because it was taught in the name of Rabbi Akiva, I have another gear here, Rabbi Yaakov, that anyone that drinks before Havdalah, his death is with askara. I think they translate it as krut or something. That's usually in children, I think. It's something like that. It's some sort of choking. Now, Rabbanan de Rabashi like Kapti Amaya. The Rabbanan of Rabashi was not makbid about drinking water. They would drink water before Havdalah. Rashbam says before Havdalah they would drink, but not before Kiddush. Kiddush is different. Kiddush says a din that you have to make Kiddush immediately. The din of Kiddush tells me that I'm not allowed to do anything before Kiddush. I can't have any food before Kiddush, not even water. The din of Havdalah doesn't tell me that. Now, our minhag is not to drink water before Havdalah. I think in Shulchan Aruch it seems that it's permissible. Okay, Dafim is not halacha. What's the explanation over here? Not to drink. So I brought down that Adam Rishon, when it started to get dark, he thought that he was going to die, and then Hashem teaches him to strike a match to make a fire. He's not going to die, but if you can't recall, you're supposed to recall the suffering, the anguish that Adam Rishon was going through then, and you're not supposed to eat until you make Havdalah. Yeah, well, it has to do with his sin was through eating, and then he decided he's not going to eat anymore, something like that. So we're supposed to recall that and not eat before Havdalah. Okay, Boimine Ravina me Rav Nachman. Ravina asked Rav Nachman a question. I'm sorry, Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Ravina asked Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak a question. Okay. Mishalei Kiddush Berev Shabbos. If someone did not make Kiddush Friday night, what should he do the rest of Shabbos? It happens sometimes. He's exhausted. He fell asleep. And he wakes up. It's already in the morning. What does he do? He says, Rab Nachman Yitzchak says, I'll tell you the teretz. Since the sons of Reb Chia said, someone that didn't make Havdalah on Motzei Shabbos, this also happened. Someone falls asleep, he wakes up, it's already Sunday morning. So he says that he's allowed to continue making Havdalah the whole Shabbos, the whole week. Now, it doesn't really mean the whole week, it means until Tuesday afternoon, until it's half the week. So he doesn't say, of course, the Alaner, and he doesn't say on the Besamim, but he says Havdalah. So Hachanami, if that's the case, that you can say Havdalah throughout the week until Tuesday afternoon, Hachanami, Mishlei Kiddush Berev Shabbos, Mekadosh Veilach, Kaliyim Kuli, you can say Kiddush the whole day, the whole Shabbos. We're talking about the blessing of, it concludes Mekadosh Shabbos, Baruch Hashem, Asher Kiddishanu, how does Kiddush go? No, not Havdalah, Kiddush. Kiddishanu. What's the start of it? It's not going to be in my phone app. Oh, Baratzabanu. Shabbos Kodshay B'Ava. Yeah. So that bracha is the question. We're asking about that bracha. Okay, so he responded. Rav Nachman Yitzchak responds that it's no problem. It's no problem. You can say it the whole Shabbos. Esvei, Ravina asks him a question. Yeah.
Isn't there a problem? The words aren't right after Friday night.
Yeah, you're asking about Vayechulu?
Yeah.
So, where do I see a Taisus over here about Vayechulu? On the following page there's a Taisus that says we're not discussing Vayechulu. Drop the Vayechulu. We're just talking about that blessing of Kiddush itself.
So that means the whole last paragraph that we read?
Yeah, the last paragraph. So you're going to say Hagafen, and you're going to say the next paragraph as well. Yeah, do you say the Mizmala Davids and Eskinas Adasas beforehand? It's a modern Shaila. The Gemara is not discussing it. Okay. So, Esvei, Ravina asked a question to him. Leili Shabbos v'leili Yom Tov yesh b'hem kedusha lakais v'yesh b'hem askara b'berachas hamazon. Shabbos night, it means Friday night. What do they call it in Yiddish? Shabbosena? Was that the time? Friday night, Shabbosena. Friday night and Yom Tov night, you say Kiddush Alakais. And you also mention in benching, what do you say? Either Ritzeh or Yalav Yavai. Shabbos the Yom Tov, Ein Bem Kiddush Alakais. You don't say Mekadosh Shabbos or Mekadosh Yisrael Vazmanim that's by Shabbos day and Yom Tov day. You don't say anything. You say Bar Piragafen, but you don't say any extra blessing. But you still have in the benching. You still have Ritzei and Yalav Yavai. So we have a brisa that clearly says that there's no extra blessing of Kiddush by Shabbos day and Yom Tov day. So he asks, Ravina asks, Visal Kadaitach Mishlei Kiddush Be'erev Shabbos Mekadosh Reilach Kol Yom Kulei Shabbos Yom Tov Nami Mishkachas Lu Diyesh Bem Kiddush Alakais Ilei Kiddush Miyorta Mekadosh L'Machar. Why does the brisa say that there's no Kiddush Shabbos day and Yom Tov day? There is Kiddush. If someone forgot, he says it by day. According to you, the brisa is mistaken. Can't be. It must be that you don't say it by day. So Amalei Di like Tani Di and. It's not talking about if, what if. The Brisa wasn't telling me the what ifs. If someone forgot and what happens. It's telling me the normal case. Normal case, you say Kiddush by night. You don't say it by day. What if it wasn't the Brisa wasn't discussing? Ravina has another question on him. Covered Yaim, the covered Lila. Covered Yom Kaidim. If you want to have a nice meal, you're going to have something special. Herring and cholent and kishka would be the perfect example. When should you have it? Friday night or Shabbos day? The answer is that you have it covered Yom Kaidim. Those nice dishes you save for Shabbos day. This is the source for that. Usually they serve herring in the cholent and the kishka by day. This is the reason why. Because those nice things you save for day, covered yain comes first. It's more important by day than by night. What about if he only has one cup? One cup of wine. He has to make Kiddush twice. By night and by day. So we were talking about the einig, the covered, the einig, what you do. The term should have been einig. Instead, the covered is usually preparation for Shabbos. I guess what it means is that when you're setting up your meals, preparing the meals, how do you set it up? You set up the day should be the fancier meal. But if you only have one cup of wine, Aimer Alav, Kiddush Hayayim, they should Kiddush Hayayim Kedem L'Kavod Yayim. L'Kavod Laila. I don't know if that's supposed to be there. If you only have one cup, so you say on it, now this is slightly confusing, you say Kiddush Hayayim. because Kiddush Hayom comes before Kavod Yom. Now, what does Kiddush Hayom mean? It means the Kiddush Friday night. the word Yom throws you off. You would think it's talking about day, but no. Kiddush Hayom means the Kiddush that you say over the day, which is Mekadesh Shabbos, which is said Friday night. So you say Kiddush before the wine goes for Friday night. The wine goes for Friday night. The Gemara has a question, or Ravina has a question like this. V'misa, we're on 105b, right on the second to the top line. V'misa l'shavke ad l'machav levet b'tarti. If Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, you're correct that if you didn't say Kiddush Friday night, you could say it Shabbos day. So why are you telling me that you have to say that use the wine for Kiddush Friday night? I have a solution. Do both. Shabbos day, you'll say Kiddush Shabbos day, and you'll have the covered. Now, covered Shabbos by day, the covered Yom is more important than covered Laila. Usually that means during the meal. But okay, the wine before the meal is also something. It will be covered Yom, and it will be Kiddush Yom, and you'll be able to cover both. But how's he supposed to eat? I guess the Gemara is suggesting that maybe he makes Kiddush by night on bread. Maybe the Gemara is suggesting that he doesn't eat. That's what the Gemara is suggesting. He doesn't eat by night. Go to bed, and you do everything by day. The Gemara says, "Amalei chaviva mitzvah b'shaita." No, that's not a solution. That's not a solution. Just to push off the whole Friday night meal and to have that extra thing, chaviva mitzvah b'shaita. You're supposed to do it in its time. You do Kiddush by Friday night, and that's what you have to do. Where do we learn that from? We learn it from Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita. We say that the fats that are supposed to be burnt from a sacrifice, they can be burnt the whole night. So what about kavanos that are on Shabbos? Should you leave them for Motzei Shabbos to burn them? We say no, Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita, burn it by day, even though it's Shabbos. You don't say that, oh, you can do it after Shabbos, and over there'll be no violation. We don't say that. Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita, you do it on Shabbos. Okay, the Gemara says, "Ami Amrina and Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita." Do you say regarding brachas Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita? I threw that in because obviously you say it in other cases. But regarding brachas, that's a. But do you say Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita that it's beloved to do the mitzvah in its time? Vatanya, we have a brayso. Anichnas lebeisa b'Motzei Shabbos. If someone enters his house on Motzei Shabbos. I think the Gemara is assuming that he davened already. But what happens is, he says the bracha on the wine. That's for Abdallah. Balamar. And for the candle, that's Bari Mariash on the Ner. Bala B'Samim. And for the B'Samim. It looks like it's out of order. It's the order of Beis Shammai according to Rabbi Yehuda. Remember we had a machlokes? Where there's a machlokes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel if you do Ner first or B'Samim first. So here it's doing the Ner first. And afterwards you do Abdallah on the kais. After you say Abdallah. Let's say he only has 1 cup of wine. He's going to want to eat Malava Malka. So Minichad Lachar and he leaves it till after the meal. And then he's going to say the whole Abdallah after Birkas Hamazon. All on 1 cup. All on 1 cup. He's going to do the whole thing. Obviously, this opinion holds that you're required to bench with the cup. So you can't eat unless you have a cup. You can't, right? You don't eat. You don't have a cup for benching. How are you supposed to eat? According to this opinion. So you have to leave the Havdalah till afterwards. And now the problem is that 1 second, really you were supposed to make Havdalah beforehand. If you hold Chaviva Mitzvah B'Shaita, what are you worried about what's going to happen later? Right now you have a Chiyuv of Havdalah. If you hold Chaviva Mitzvah B'Shaita, say Havdalah first. We don't say this. Chaviva Mitzvah B'Shaita. You see, first you eat, you say Birkas Hamazon, and then you use that cup for Havdalah, right? The question was, if you're allowed to make Kiddush by day, if you forgot, or for whatever reason you didn't make it Friday night. Responded, yes, you make Kiddush by day. You say the whole long Kiddush if you didn't say it Friday night. Just 1 second. We have a brisa that says that if you only have 1 cup of wine, you use it for Friday night, not for by day. So 1 second, but if you can make Kiddush by day as well, the Friday night Kiddush by day, so why don't you leave it for by day with special things for by day? So he says, no, Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita. It says, really, Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita? We don't say that in the other case, where we tell you to first wash and to make, to have your whole meal, and then you say Havdalah afterwards. What happened to Chaviv Mitzvah B'Shaita? Say the Havdalah first. Amalei, so Rav Nachman says, Ana lo chakimayana v'lo chuzayana v'lo yichidayana. Says, I'm nothing special. I'm not a chacham. I'm not a chayza. I'm not unique. Ella Gemarna v'sadarna. I'm just someone that arranges the brises, the halachas. V'chein mayin bein midrash kavasi, and that's how they paskin. Shani lan beini lo yom lafuka yoma. Now, there's a difference between coming in and going out. That means the entering of Shabbos versus leaving Shabbos. When Shabbos comes in, that's the important time. You try to get it earlier. That's considered chavivos. However, when Shabbos is leaving, you extend it till later. It shouldn't look like a burden. Gets rid of Shabbos right away. To run away from Shabbos. Yeah, another reason why not to smoke. They're always rushing for Shabbos to be over. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Wait 1 minute. The Gemara says like this. We're going to go through a whole bunch of things that come out in this halacha. Shema mina miha masnisa tamni. We see eight points from this. I think that's the most. I don't know if that's more than that. 8 points from this brisa. Shema mina. The first point is hamavdil betfila tzarich shiavdil alakais. Pesachim asks that after we go through the list, you're going to see that there's actually one more, that it really could be 9. One more point. Taisus throws in over here that you see he's allowed to eat before Havdalah if he only has 1 cup. That's a finish also. But that's not one of the 8. First point is that if you said Atochein Antanu, you still have to say Havdalah alakais. That's what we're learning from here. Okay. Next point. Shmamina bracha tunakais. We also see that benching requires, according to this brisa, requires a cup for Birkas Hamazon. It requires a cup. Very interesting Tosfos here. He says, it sounds like he's only one person. There's no mezumin. And nevertheless, we're seeing bracha tunakais. Even if you would say that Birkas Hamazon is te'una kais, requires a cup only by 3 people, then I have a solution. Let them not eat together, and then avoid the Birkas Hamazon te'una kais. It must be that Birkas Hamazon is te'una kais even by 1 person. He brings the Rashbam and he quotes Medrash. He says, that he quotes from Bichiel. Then he quotes that famous Taisus that we mentioned before. Taisus quotes, but his other question, that if Birkas Hamazon te'una kais, what does Rabbi Gamliel do that says you have to say Birkas Hamazon on wine? If it needs a kais, you'll never get out of the cycle. You'll keep saying Birkas Hamazon and you'll keep having to bench on the wine, and you'll be drunk by it's a vicious cycle. He keeps saying. So he says over here he answers it that it's only Sudas Lechem that requires a kais. That's one teretz. Somewhere else he said that you don't have to drink the full cup, so you don't have to bench on it. Okay. Next point. Point number 3. Shema mina kaishel bracha tzarich shir. Obviously, the kaishel bracha needs to have a certain amount, a revius. Why? How do you see that? Because if I could drink from the cup, I can make Havdalah, drink from the cup. Then I'll use it again for Birchas Hamazon. Could use it again for Birchas Hamazon. Obviously, no. It needs to have a shear, and you can't, once you drink from it, it's not going to work. Otherwise, you can divide it into 2 cups. That's what it means. Divide it into 2 cups. Okay. Shema mina, number 4. Hamavarch tzarich sheyitim. That you have to taste from the cup. This is what you see that you have to drink from the cup. Otherwise, if you just have to say Havdalah, and no one drinks from the cup, then you could say Havdalah on the cup. No one drinks from it, and then use it for Birchas Hamazon after the meal. You can just leave it around. So obviously, you can't do that. According to this, we do the opposite. We bench on a kais by shalosh shadis. You put the cup down, and after Havdalah, you make after Ma'ariv, you say Havdalah on the same cup, and no one drank from it. No, I understand, but benching on a kais, that's what we're saying. Benching on the kais. No, Havdalah, I say Agafim because of that. Because I have to drink from it. Yeah, if otherwise I would just say Havdalah. I would hold the cup in my hand and I would say Havdalah without no Agafim. I understand, but the Gemara is saying that don't think that you can say Havdalah without Agafim. Right? So you have to drink from it. If you're using a cup, you have to drink from it. I'm just pointing out that we by Birchas Hamazon we do exactly the opposite. We don't drink from it and we leave it for afterwards. It's a interesting problem. Even in Shulchan Aruch, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that you in the halachas over there, shalosh shadis, right before Havdalah, it doesn't say the way we do it. It says to do it. It says to drink the wine after benching. We do it differently. I'm not sure the whole explanation.
And this is all coming from this brisa that starts on the 5th line.
Yeah.
How far does that? How far does that brisa go?
The brisa stops by la'acharav, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, line 9. Now, it comes from. I should point out it comes from the Rishonim and the Gemara. This Gemara right here. That's decoding the brisa. That's going through all of these halachas that come out, and then the way Tosfos learns it, and the way the Rishonim learn it. Okay, so we're holding now by the 4th point. That you have to taste. You have to drink from it. We also see that once you taste from the wine, from the cup, you can't use it again. Because maybe you can take a tiny taste, leave a shear still there, and use the cup again. No. Once you drink from it, it's spoiled for another bracha. Why? The Rishonim say, would you offer a cup that you drank from to your governor, to an official person? Would you give that to him? So therefore, you can't use it again after you drink from it for another. Places over here points out that when you make Kiddush or Havdalah or anything, you're supposed to drink from the cup that you said the blessing on. Otherwise, we would have a solution. Pour immediately into another cup, drink from that cup, and leave this cup still good. Follow? Obviously, what you have to do is drink from that cup. Now, it doesn't mean that everyone has to drink from your germs. You could pour it to someone else, but you have to drink from the cup that Kiddush was made on. Right? There's a bunch of options on how to serve other people the wine from Kiddush. Yeah, the traditional way of one person drank and they passed it around before pre-corona. But there's a bunch of other options. Everyone can have their own cup in front of them is one option.
And is this the reason for the theory to wash out the cup? Because what's there is pagam?
I think was something else. That was something else. Kais Tzarech, there's 10 things that Kais had. That was a Gemara in Brachas. This is the reason why, if I take a drink of the wine and I pass it to other people, it's already pagam. So if I drink from the cup, if I drink from the cup, everyone else can drink from that cup. But if I drink from that cup and I want to pour it into other people's cups, so then it's pagam and I have to add a little wine into it before I pour out. Yeah. You can pour out first, before you drink. That you can do also. Well, the Magen Avraham, I think, doesn't like that. He says you may pour out too much. But otherwise, I think that's acceptable. Oh, yeah. So when I did the water, that thing also, because I made one with my kids, and they used to be in store here, clay wicks. We made it out of clay. So it was a great project. But I fill up a cup just for that. That way, when I pour out, I pour just into that cup. I have 2 cups. I pour into that cup. That way, I don't pour too much. Otherwise, I pour too much. I'm worried about that. There's 1 cup sitting on top of that waterfall, and I'm holding my cup, and then I just pour into that, and I let my kids pour the. Yeah. That's how I do. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, Tama Pagash. Mamina Tam Avdil. Another thing. Someone that made, someone that ate is still allowed to make Havdalah. Now, the simple pshat in this would be like this. Let's think about tefillah. Someone that missed the tefillah, he's allowed to make it up. He missed shachris. He davens mincha twice. He makes it up. He makes it up. What would happen if someone eats before Kiddush or before Havdalah? Are they allowed to make it up? They say no. Maybe someone else has to say Havdalah now. You already passed the. You already missed it. That would be one pshat there. Rashbam doesn't seem to accept that pshat, and he says, "Tom Mavdil." It's going to be on the next page, but the Rashbam says maybe you can't make Kiddush that night anymore. Make Havdalah that night anymore. You have to wait till the following morning to make Havdalah. If you ate before Havdalah, yeah. If you ate before Havdalah, we have a big Kiddush here that you're allowed to continue and make Havdalah. We don't tell you that you have to wait till tomorrow to make Havdalah. I don't know what it has to do with. The Bach asks on the Rashbam. Really? Well, what's that? What is that? What's the significance of making it tomorrow? Anyway, he says, but since the Rashbam says that, that's how we should. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, here we see Tam Avdil that you can still make Havdalah. Ishmamina. Another point. This is point number 7. Remember before we had an issue. Did we say that you don't throw? You don't throw everything into one bucket. Yeah, we had that before. We had on Kuf Beis Amid Beis. Here we're saying that you can do Birchas Hamazon and Havdalah on 1 cup. No problem. What we learned before is not really an issue. We see from this brisa. We said before that you can yak nahaz. We were talking about yak. How can you make Kiddush and Havdalah in the same cup? You don't do it all in one, multitask over here when it comes to brachas. So we said over there, Kiddush and Havdalah is one thing, but Kiddush and Birchas Hamazon, that's an issue. Now we're saying no. Birchas Hamazon and Havdalah is not an issue. You can do it together. We also see that it's Beis Shammai according to Rabbi Yehuda. How do you see it's Beis Shammai? Well, we mentioned that first you make Birchas Hamazon, then you do Bari Miari Ha'ish, then you do Bari Mina B'Samim, then you say Abdallah at the end. That's the way Rabbi Yehuda learns Machlekes Beis Shammai Beisel, and this will follow Beis Shammai's opinion. Ravashi says, Tamei Pagmei V'Keshel Bracha Tzorch Shir Chadam Milsi. Says 1 second. You can't have both of those, Ravashi says. You try to learn from this 2 points. One was that Birchas Hamazon requires a shear. And if you're going to drink from it, then you're not going to have a shear. And so therefore you have to do it all together, right? And then you wanted to learn something else, that if you drink from it, it's pagam, it's pagam, and you can't use it again. You have to do it all together. It says those are contradictory. You can't have those both. If you want to, in other words, maybe the reason why you have to do it together is because there's no shear left. Forget about Tama Pagma. If you're saying it's exactly a shear, then how do you get Tama Pagma? You don't have a shear. You follow? Okay. So, this is what it means. My time atagme pagme from the keshel bracha tzarich shear, because tamei pagme requires a shear. Okay. Tamei pagme mishum the keshel bracha tzarich shear. Why is tamei pagme? That's what he means. Why is once you taste from it that it's no good anymore? Because you don't have a shear anymore. It's not a separate problem. The problem of pagam is the shear. You're missing the shear. Right. 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 You would do Ma'ariv after. Or they did Ma'ariv before. You can daven Ma'ariv early. I don't know. It's his man. You're right. Rabbi Yaakov Faridi Kaper Achatz V'Pegima. You follow what was going on over here. He was coming home. He only has 1 cup of wine. He was washing for Malav Malka for his night meal after it was already this man for Abdullah. At least that's one pshat in Tosfos. So that's why Tosfos over here said that we see that you're allowed to eat before Abdullah if you only have 1 cup. That's another chiddush. He says, but maybe the Gemara is talking about that he was eating beforehand, that he started beforehand. And that would be that. Then we'd lose that chiddush. Okay. Rabbi Yaakov Bari the Kaper Achatz V'Pegima. If someone drank from a pitcher, he wouldn't use that anymore for Kiddush or Abdallah. Ravidi Bar Shisha, Rav Shisha Breder Ravidi maybe, Kaper Akasa Begimta, he was only makbid on a cup. And Mar Baravashi Kaper Afila Chavisa Begimta. He wouldn't use an open barrel. He would always open a new barrel for Kiddush or Abdallah. Maybe it was they drank from the barrel. It would be strange to drink from a barrel. But anyway, that's what it says. Rashbam says Chavias Katanas. It was a small barrel. But if it's a big barrel, that's not a problem. Yeah. Unless you had a straw, that would be really strange. A huge barrel. Okay, Tana Rabbanan. This is an important piece of Gemara. Everything is important. It's like a Yesodis thing. Brisa, Zachar es Yom Shabbos l'kadshe Zachrei al hayayin. Remember the Shabbos to sanctify it. You should sanctify it. You should remember it with wine. That means that you say Kiddush over with wine. Ein li ela bayom. I only know that you have to say Kiddush by day. Balayla minayin. How do you know that you have to say Kiddush by night? Talmud Loimer Zachar es Yom Shabbos. I'm going to put a period right there, even though this l'kadshe comes. That's what I think it's going. Zachar es Yom Shabbos. L'kadshe balayla binayin. The Gemara asks, L'kadshe balayla minayin. Make Kiddush by night. How do you know? Adarabba, Ikar Kiddush balayla hu Kaddish. You always say Kiddush. That's the main Kiddush. The Chikaddish Tchilas Yoma by Kedusha. When you say Kiddush, it's right at the beginning when Shabbos comes in, which is at night. Vesu, also, balayla minayin. When the Gemara asks, how do you know by night? Talmud Loimer Zachar es Yom. it says, remember the day. You're looking for a reason to say Kiddush by night, and you give me a pasuk that tells me you say Kiddush by day. Hachi explains what's happening here. Remember, this is what it means. Remember the Shabbos day to sanctify it. That means remember it when it comes in. I only know that you say Kiddush by night. By Yomi, how do you know that there's a Kiddush by day? Talmud Leimer Zacharis Yoim Shabbos. Emphasis on the Yoim, that you say Kiddush by day. What Kiddush do you say by day? Rav Yehuda Bari Pri Hagafen. Rav Yehuda says you say Bari Pri Hagafen. That's it. All of those Kishesh Yamim and all of that is not the Kiddush. Kiddush is just Bari Pri Hagafen. Yeah, everything else is schmaltz or a distraction. It's not. That's the Kiddush is the Bari Pri Hagafen. The fluff. Some people they think like, it wasn't yet a Kiddush. I didn't hear the. That's all of that is not. It's not the Kiddush. Bari Pri Hagafen is the Kiddush. You only had one cup. We said you use it by night. But our question was, if you can say the Friday night Kiddush by day, then why don't you use it by day? Right? We didn't say which one's the more important one. Oh yeah, by night is the more important one. Because that's the main Kiddush. Rav Ashi, Ikla l'Mechuza. Very interesting. Rav Ashi is in Mechuza. Amrulay, they said to him, L'Kaddish lan mar Kiddush Rabbah. Let the master say the big Kiddush, Kiddush Rabbah. Havulay, they gave him the cup. Now, he didn't know what Kiddush Rabbah is. Savar, Manya Kiddush Rabbah, he says, what is Kiddush Rabbah? Amar Michti, Kol brachas kum Bari Pri Hagafen Amir Breisha. All the brachas always start with Bari Pri Hagafen. Amar Bari Pri Hagafen, Va'agid Bey. He says Bari Pri Hagafen, and he stretched it out a little bit. Chazi Lusaba de Gachen V'Shasi. He sees that there's an older man that started to drink. So Karyan Afshei Chachamim of Bereisha. Now, I don't know why he couldn't ask what their expectation was. Maybe he didn't want to. He didn't want any information. Maybe they forgot to say Kiddush Friday night, and he was supposed to say that. Whatever the case is, he says this is like a play. He says Baruch Atah Hashem. He says he stretches it out. He finishes Bari Pri Hagafen, and then he sees someone starting to drink. He says, "Oh, okay, good. I guess that's it." And that was the whole Kiddush. Kiddush Rabbah, the big Kiddush. I think the Ran says it's called Kiddush Rabbah sarcastically. That this is the big Kiddush. Otherwise, it's called Kiddush Rabbah. The Rashbam, I think, said it's called Kiddush Rabbah because that's the main bracha of Kiddush. Always, every special prayer that we say with a cup of wine, there's always Bari Pri Hagafen. So this is the big one, Bari Pri Hagafen. It's not sarcastic. It's telling me this is the Kiddush Rabbah, it's the Bari Pri Hagafen. Okay. And so Rav Ashi says, I was able, a wise person has his eyes in his head. I guess he means that he was able to figure out how to get out of this problem by faking it. By just saying Bari Pri Hagafen and see what happens. Okay. Tosfos has an interesting question over here. This question is, how is this fellow allowed to drink before him? Usually it says, when by Hamaitzi, you're not allowed to eat before the Mevarech eats. It says, yeah, over here they each had a cup of wine, so that's different. If everyone would have their own challah also, they would be allowed to eat before the person that, that's basically what this says. Zechreya alayayin, to eat before, to drink the wine before the person that says the Kiddush. If they have their own cup in front of them, then it seems from Tosfos that it's acceptable to drink first. If not, then it's clear that he has to drink first. He can't pass it around and then drink after them, right? You follow that what he would want to do? He would say Kiddush, let everyone drink, and then he would drink later. He would drink after them. That you can't. That it says in other places he can't do. How was this fellow allowed to? He must have had his own cup in his hand. This older person. Okay. Taisvus Zechreyo Alayayin is very important because he explains why we say Vayichulu 3 times on Friday night. We say it in Shemon Esrei. We say it again after Shemon Esrei. Then we say it again at home. He says we say it in Shemon Esrei. That he doesn't explain because we say it in Shemon Esrei. Why do we say it after Shemon Esrei? Because there is one Shemon Esrei a year, or several Shemon Esreis a year where you don't say it, and that's when it falls on Yom Tov. So, because you start right away after V'chartanu, and you don't say Vayichulu in there. Oh, so those Shabbosim we say it afterwards. You say Vayichulu afterwards to make up because you didn't say it in Shemon Esrei. Why do you say it the whole year? Because of as well, we want to keep all the Shabbosim symmetrical, so you say it always afterwards. So all of that is because of the Yom Tov that you don't say. Why do you say it at home? Because your wife and children didn't say it in Shul. So that's 3 times you say Vayichulu. Okay, now we say Amri b'nei Reb Chia, the sons of Reb Chia said this. We quoted this before. Now we're learning it now. Mishalei hivdu b'maitzah Shabbos, ma'avdu v'hoilach b'chol Shabbos kula. You could say Havdalah the whole week. Vad kama, what's the whole week? Amar Rab Zera ad Revi b'Shabbos until Tuesday, until Wednesday, but it means until Tuesday afternoon. Kiyad Yosef Rab Zera kamei de Ravasi. Rab Zera was sitting in front of Ravasi. Varmila Ravasi kamei de Rab Yechon, and some say that Ravasi was sitting in front of Rab Yechon, and Yosef Kamar is sitting and he's saying, Linyan Gita Chada b'Shabbos Trey Utlasa Basar Shabbata Arba b'Chamisha Mali Yoima Kamei Shabbata. If someone sends a shliach to write a get, or if he writes a get and he says, on condition that you pay me a certain amount of money before Shabbos or after Shabbos, or he sends a shliach, write a get for me before Shabbos, or write a get after Shabbos. So what does he mean after Shabbos? Up until Tuesday. What does he mean before Shabbos? That means Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. All of that is considered before Shabbos. Amar Rav Yaakov Baridi, Avalei Ala'ar. Rav Yaakov Baridi says, but you don't say the bracha on the candle. Amar Rav Bruna Amar Rav. Rav Bruna says in the name of Rav. Remember, we had Rav Bruna before. He was one of the students of Rav. Hanaitel Yadav Le'yakadosh. And now the Bach adds in, Amar Rav Barav, Amar Rav Natal Yadav Le'yakadosh. Someone that washed his hands for bread, he forgot to make Kiddush. So he washed his hands right away. Now it's time to make Kiddush. So he wants to make Kiddush. He washed it. It's very convenient. He's going to make Kiddush, and he'll say Amaitzi right away. He says, no. Kiddush is going to be a hefsek. Someone else should make Kiddush. Let someone else make Kiddush. And you listen to that Kiddush, you'll be Yaitze. And then you'll say, but once you wash your hands, take if l'netila bracha, take if l'netila bracha. I think right after Kiddush, you're supposed to say Amaitzi. Right, I'm sorry. Right after washing, you're supposed to say Amaitzi. You're not supposed to delay that. It's a good question.
What was the question?
Dr. Stein is asking, why doesn't he just make Kiddush on the bread?
Because he washed and he can't speak.
No, but that's how, l'chayra, that's how you would make Kiddush on the bread. I don't think you would go to wash. I think what you do is you wash. You say Bari Hamaitzi Lechem and Aretz, and then you continue saying V'ratzabano v'Shabbos Kadshay, right? Baruch Hashem Kadosh Shabbos, and then you eat the bread. You have to wash before, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the answer. He washed for Hamaitzi, and he didn't say Kiddush. Okay, so that good question. Amalu Rav Yitzchak Bar Shmuel Bar Marta Kati Leinach Nafshe Derav Shechachninu L'Shmaitei L'Shmaitei Zim Sagian Avakim Kam Derav. 1 second. He says like this. Rav Yitzchak Bar Shmuel Bar Marta says Rav hasn't even passed away. and you're already forgetting his teachings. I was many times by Rab. Zimnan de Chaviva le Rifta, Mekadesh Rifta, Zim de Chaviva le Chamra, Mekadesh Chamra. You can make Kiddush. You see, Dr. Stein, that's your point. He says that you can make Kiddush on the bread. Rav would many times make Kiddush on the bread. Your solution. If Rav was very hungry, so he said, I don't want to drink wine right now. It's like a fast day sometimes. You come Friday afternoon, you have a cup of wine. I'd rather let me eat something first. So Rav would eat first. He was starving. So he would make Kiddush on the bread. Okay. Yeah. Let's go further. Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rav, Tom Eina Makadosh. Rav Huna says in the name of Rav that if someone ate already before Kiddush, he should not say Kiddush. Here's the Rashbam. The Rashbam over here says he should say Kiddush the following day before the meal if he ate before Kiddush. What about by Havdalah? If he ate before Havdalah, can he then go and say Havdalah? He says, I hold that you can say Havdalah. Ravasi says no. Ravasi says if you ate, you can't say Havdalah. I guess till the next day. Rav Yirmiyah Barabi Ikla Rabasi. Ishli v'tam midi. Rav Yirmiyah Barabba was in the house of Ravasi. He forgot and he ate something. They gave him the cup to make Havdalah, and he said Havdalah. Amralei debisu. So his wife said, Rav Asi's wife said, my husband would not do that. He would not make Havdalah if he ate. Amralei shavke karabi svirlei. Leave him alone. He follows his teacher. Who's the rabbi? Rav. Rav held, Rav Huna said the name of Rav, that Tom Eina Makadesh, he probably holds that Tom Eina Mavdal. Yeah, that we had that before. Amar Rav Yosef, Amar Shmuel, Tom Eina Makadesh, Tom Eina Mavdal. Rav Yosef says in the name of Shmuel that if someone ate, he shouldn't make Kiddush. If he ate, he shouldn't say Havdalah. Rabba, Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Shmuel. But Rabba says in the name of Rav Nachman, the name of Shmuel, differently. It says Tom Makadesh, Tom Mavdal. He says, no. If you ate, you can still say Kiddush. If you ate, you can still say Havdalah. Amar Rabba, Hilchasa, the halacha is, we're on Tuf Zayin. Tam Mekadesh v'tam Mavdal. If you ate, you can still say Kiddush. If you ate, you can still say Havdalah. Umishle Kiddush Berev Shabbos. Someone forgot to say Kiddush Friday night. Mekadesh v'hoilech kol hayom kulei ad Motzei Shabbos. You can say Kiddush until Motzei Shabbos, the following day. Mishle Hivdil. Motzei Shabbos Mavdal v'hoilech kol Shabbos kulei. If you didn't say Havdalah, you can say Havdalah the whole week, which we said before was until Tuesday afternoon. Taisvus over here says, Amarava Hilchasa Tam Mekadesh v'chein halacha. If you ate, you can still say Kiddush. Let's leave it over here.